Welcome back, everybody, to the Recruiting Workshop for Women live cast training event. I am your host, Sonia Stringer, and we are having a phenomenal day. Are we not? Are we having fun? Yes. Great to have you here. So glad if you've just joined us, you're perfect timing, because we're just about to start this next session. It is called Power Prospecting: How to Find People Who Be Great in Your Business locally and online and elegantly recruit them into your team. And we have a lot to cover. We've got some very special guests joining us. However, if you have any questions as we go through this session, go ahead and jot them down. That's also true for those of you watching at home. You can enter those questions on the chat roll, and we'll do our very best at the end. If we can get this done quickly, we'll take some time and handle some of those questions live. So let me quickly introduce my lovely panel to you. Again, I wish I had enough time to go through all of your bios in detail because you are all so accomplished. Every one of these gals is either the top rep in her company or at the very top level of her organization. You have all had enormous success in network marketing and direct sales, and again are such classy examples of how you can be very successful in this business and do it with a lot of heart and class and elegance and style. And so let me very quickly introduce just your names and also your backgrounds. Heidi Bartolotta came into this business almost by accident. You had a very successful career as a pharmaceutical rep, and I know, like many new moms, saw the potential of doing a business from home and still being able to make great money. So everyone, please welcome Heidi Bartolotta. And down on the end, we have Jackie Christensen, who had a very successful career in health and nutrition before you ever got involved in your business, and now we're doing incredibly well with a large international team. Thank you for being here. Everyone, please welcome Jackie. Sarah Zalecki, you've already met. She's a relatively new mom who's been, how many years in network marketing now? Has it been
20.
20-year veteran, and yes, and now getting to do it all over as a new mom. That's an exciting adventure. Yes, welcome back to Sarah, please. Good to have you. And just here is Kimmy Brook, who again was kind of surprised, I think, to find yourself in a network marketing company. You had a background in education, administration of education, but did phenomenally well with your first company. We're going to talk about that. Now doing an exciting new venture too. Everyone, please welcome Kimmy Brook. And here in the middle is Amy Christ, who originally was in the financial services industry, had a very successful career then, moved into her current company and has just been rocking it. Everybody please welcome Amy Christ. And in the green, we have Michelle, Michelle Fraser, pardon me, who has been involved in several different business ventures. She and her husband own a very successful construction company. I know you've done all kinds of philanthropic work, and she was formerly a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. No surprise. Yes.
Very formerly.
Very formerly. Please welcome Michelle Fraser, everybody. All right, so we're going to talk about lead generation. And I know for many of the women that I've worked with, probably everyone in the room here has had this happen. I know many of you watching at home. One of the biggest challenges women can come up against as they're developing this business is finding enough people to talk to. If they've talked to their friends or their family, or they work through their warm market and are finding themselves in a place where they're needing to make new connections, it can feel a bit daunting at times knowing how to find the right people and create the kind of connection that can lead to a business opportunity. Now, what's wonderful about this panel is every one of these women have built very large teams and have done it in completely different ways. So it's such a nice cross-section and illustration of all the different ways that you can build a large team in a business like this. So if I can, may I start with Kimmy, because you definitely are the warm market queen. You build probably faster than anybody I know in terms of having zero business experience, zero network marketing experience. You jumped in and built a phenomenal team and did it all through your warm market. So would you just share a little bit about that? We'll get you a mic here so we can. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, gosh, I've been involved in network marketing now for 7 years, and it's amazing how fast that time goes by. And when I got started, I was working in a school as a fundraiser, and I didn't have any background in network marketing, like you said. I had a daughter. I was a single mom, so I had a drive. I was hungry. And, you know, what happened for me, I was shared a book that gave me an idea to meet with people on my lunch break. And from that idea, in that book, Beach Money by Jordan Adler,
Yes.
I said to myself, I can do that. And I think as I really think about people in this business who go out and do something versus not, it's the story we make up. And the story I made up was I can do that. So
Wow.
I think it's important for people to think about, okay, what is my story right now? Is it that I don't have anybody to talk to? I'm so busy. People always say no to me, or I can do that. So I went out on my lunch break and I met with a new friend every day for 3 months.
Wow.
An hour a day, one
Wow.
person a day.
Wow.
And it was amazing what happened to my business because of that activity, that consistent activity every day for 3 months. I was actually able to quit my job that I thought I'd be at for 15 to 20 more years of my life.
Wow. So let me just get my head around those numbers. So within you met someone for lunch every single day
During the
practically.
work week, so 5 days a week.
Right. So
Yeah.
during your work week.
Yeah.
And then within 3 months, you were
Yeah.
able to leave the job that you were in and
Yes.
transition full-time into your network marketing business. And would you mind sharing your numbers too? Because they were pretty impressive. If you don't
Sure,
mind.
and obviously not everybody does this.
Right.
So
This
I
is
mean,
maybe the exception
but
versus
the great
the
thing
rule.
is
Yeah.
anybody can. So
Yes.
I was, I think at that time I was able to walk away from my full-time job because I had earned $25,000 a month. So I was
Wow.
feeling confident and comfortable that was going to provide enough for me to be successful in network marketing.
It's a good start.
Yeah.
It's a very good start. Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
And again, that's perhaps the exception, not the rule, but
Yes.
such an incredible example of possibility in 3 months. Was able to leave her job, built a large team, and was making that kind of income.
Yeah.
So, and do you mind sharing too, because I know so much of this involves mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, not every one of those lunch dates probably went the way that you were hoping it would. There was, a lot of
No,
no's along.
definitely not,
A lot
actually.
of no's along the way. So,
Yeah.
how have you navigated that? Because you're such an example to me of someone who just has the right attitude when it comes to prospecting in general.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not going to lie. It definitely can sting when someone says no that you're super excited to have joined your business. But
Yes.
the reality is this just isn't for everybody. And so I have a great story of going to lunch one of those days, and I actually got picked up by my friend, and he told me he was there as an intervention to really make sure that I stopped doing what I was doing. He was like, I could even plug you into pharmaceutical sales, Kimmy. I've got all these great ideas for you. And I was like, what? And he said, he was sent there as the representative for all of my friends. And so that was a hard day for me, right? Like, oh my gosh, do I listen to him? Do I listen to me? And then I got back into my office, and I actually had a picture of my daughter Haley right at my desk, and I just stared at her, and I thought, you know what? He doesn't pay my bills. And actually, not that this is a great way to think, but for me, it was like, I'll show him. And that really did drive me for
Wow.
quite a while in my business.
Wow.
And the day I was awarded the car in my company, I ran into him, and it was the best. It was awesome. No, not literally. But I just ran up to his table and I said, guess what? I just got a Porsche. And he just looked at me like so shocked, and it
Wow.
was such a great, sweet revenge. So,
Aw.
yeah.
Thank you, though. So,
Yeah.
I mean, such an incredible example of just reaching out to people you know, creating an opportunity to share, not letting the no's stop you. And look at what you created in such a short amount of time. That's really impressive. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks.
And can we pass the mic over to Sarah? Because when it comes to cold market prospecting, you are the queen, my dear. And I see you do this all the time, and you do it with such style and elegance. So would you share a little bit about your attitude when you meet people and how you network? Because I think if everyone could do what you do, they'd be very successful.
Well, I think one of the things with being a stay-at-home mom, you forget that just because this is a home-based business, it doesn't mean that you stay home.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, forcing yourself to get out and to meet people, I mean, is so important because people, they share with me all the time, well, I don't have anyone to talk to. And I'm like, well, you need to get out and really taking on that mindset of, going out and making friends. And so for me, everywhere that I go, I just want to be a connector.
Yes.
And whether it be at a networking event or at a mixer or wherever it may be, for me personally, you want to be that girl that people know that you can connect. Like people call me and say, hey, do you know a really good plumber? Because I've been to enough networking events, met enough people where I really come from the place of I want to serve. So I have got so many different connections, not even in network marketing, just in general, because I love serving that way. And it's fun to be at an event or be somewhere and they're like, oh, how do you guys know each other? And you're like, oh, well, I met them through Sarah, because I never tried to recruit them for my business. I really came from that place of serving. And so I think, for me personally, it's just how many friends can you make? My goal is like, hey, you can't out-friend me. You know what I mean? And really, coming from those, but again, it always comes full circle. I
Yes.
can't tell you the timing of different people's lives and coming back and saying, hey, you know what, I'd love to connect with you more about what you do. And,
Yes.
but I love social media as well, because that really allows people to do their homework on you. So when I do meet people, because people always say, well, do you talk about your opportunity right away? And I personally, for me, I don't. That's just, again, that's not my motive. I mean, I really feel that every person that I meet in my life, they're either going to enrich my life personally or professionally. And either way, it's a win. I mean, that's really my mindset as I make a friend every day. And so, I love social media because it allows people to, as I add them as friends, like I'll meet someone, I'm like, hey, are you on, LinkedIn? Are you on Facebook? Whatever it may be. I say, hey, let's stay connected that way. I'll send them a private note or whatever, and we just stay connected. But it's so cool because then guess what? They get to watch my life.
Yes.
And how I interact and how I am with people and how I, with my family, and they might see a little bit of my business, but I love that because people they want to make the decision for themselves,
Yes.
right? And so it allows me, I love social media for that aspect and staying connected with them.
Brilliant. And do you have any tips in terms of how you use Facebook, let's say, because I know you're really active on Facebook. You share somewhat about your business and highlight things that are going on with your team.
I do
There's
the
personal
1/3
things.
rule.
1/3,
So
okay.
for personally for me, I mean, I love being personal on my Facebook. I mean, I meet people and they're like, they don't really ever ask about me. They're always like, so how's Hudson doing? How's your daughter doing? Like, they don't even, I'm like, what about me? What am I, chopped liver? But again, I love that. So all my posts, like 1/3 of my posts are all personal,
Yes.
life, fun stuff, whatever. So they get to know me. The other third is inspirational. Maybe it's a quote, maybe it's an image, maybe it's something that I feel is value that I've kind of like, something that they can be encouraged by. And then the other third is business. But my business is, I like to live very authentically. I'm not on there like posting, this is about, whatever specific product or what have you.
Yes.
I like to create the curiosity or really stories
Yes.
that I've had. And I like to use images and stuff where they go, oh my gosh, I can relate to that. And so I'm really careful on that posting because we all have friends that like barf their business all over the place and they can't figure out why can't I bring people in?
Yes.
And everyone goes,
Yes.
I do not want to be that girl.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm very careful on, they see that I have a life
Yes.
and they see that I weave my business in my life and they go, hey, I can do that too. I want to do that too.
Yes, beautiful. So we have the warm market queen here. We have the cold market that turns them into a warm market
Correct, as
queen.
fast as
over here. You really do.
possible.
And I just want to reiterate some of the things you do so well because I see you chatting people up all the time. Whenever I've been around you, you're connecting with people constantly. We're standing in line at Starbucks, you're making friends. We're standing in line at the airport, you're making friends. So, if you ever think that you just don't have any way to connect with people, I mean, I think you're a living example of how if you just are willing to open your mouth and say hello and connect with people, you can make friends everywhere. And I really feel from you whenever I've been around you when I first was getting to know you, but also I've seen you do this with other people, like you sincerely care about people. You're not making a connection to see if there might be a business opportunity in there for you. You genuinely care, and I know people feel that and they respond to that, and that's why you have such a large natural network. And then when you are elegantly sharing about what you do, or it comes time to mention, more directly your product or your business, it's never weird. And people just are so open because they know first and foremost that your relationship with them is genuine and it's for friendship versus any other opportunity that might come from it. So I just want to acknowledge you for that. And, if everybody did what Sarah did on a regular basis, you would have a very large natural network of people that would be very open to hearing about anything that you're up to. So thank you, both of you, for that. And then I'd love to go to Amy because being in the financial industry, you knew all about networking before you obviously got into your business, but you've done very well in person, I know, connecting with people, and then you've been able to transition that into a very interesting online opportunity. So would you share a little bit more about that? Yeah.
Sure. Well, and as Sarah was speaking, I was like, did she read what I was going to say?
You're very similar.
A lot of it's so similar. It's the personal connecting, and then it's where are you in social media using that aspect of it? Because then they can, I call it the cyber stalking. You can cyber stalk me, I'll stalk you a little bit, and
Yes.
we go from there. So basically, for what I then do with the party, if you want me to cut to that chase,
Sure.
do we have?
We do have some slides.
coming on
Randy, if we
that.
can bring up some of those slides, she can go through.
Yeah.
There's a 5-step process that you use to basically turn, it would be what, your Facebook connections, your online connections, or any connections really?
Any connections.
Into,
They might be a warm market, cold market.
Sure.
It just depends on where and when in my life I met them and connected with them.
Okay.
The thing that I always say is, in this business, there is no danger. I have little kids. We all, as moms, stranger danger. Actually, it's complete opposite in this business, right? If you are not talking to strangers as quick as possible, you're not going to have a successful business.
Yes.
So with the social media layer, now it adds, for my business model with the party plan and the products, it adds an additional layer in there. And I don't know
if we can, sure, bring up this first slide there and she can talk us through those steps. But basically, you've transitioned your contacts, whether you've met them live or
Yes.
you've got to know them through social media. You have an environment or a platform, an opportunity really, that you can invite them all to, where they can
On
learn more
Facebook,
about
yes.
your products or your business opportunities. So
Yes.
it's a virtual party, basically,
It
is what it is.
Basically virtual partying, and once you connect with them there,
Yes.
it's a place where really then you can be, I'm just sorry, I was waiting for the
Waiting for
slides.
the slides,
I
yeah.
don't know where they are. But it's being authentic is my first slide.
Yes.
Being
There we
authentic,
go. Here we go.
able to be connecting to you and your life, and the dirty, the ugly, the pretty. It's not just all just me on beaches and loving my life. It's
Right.
with my children and my daughter and. Right, it was poopy diapers or my dog. And everybody's into the dog, so it's being authentic and having them connect. You're a real person.
Yes.
And then step number 2 is the CPR method.
CPR, here we go.
And basically, that is commenting, posting, and replying. You cannot be on social media. And not do those things. You have to be authentic, connecting with people, caring about their lives. And by doing the CPR method, by commenting, posting, and replying, it really is a way for you to be connected with these people that you may have just met in line at Starbucks. Or maybe it's a mom on the baseball field for me, or at the hockey game, or a million other sports my children do.
Right.
So it's a way to take that relationship further
Yes.
and connect with them and genuinely find out what is it about them in their lives
Yes.
that that they could then have a need for what we do. I believe that, especially as a mom, and when you're in the trenches and your children are 3 and 4 and 5, we lose ourselves in some capacity. And so, I meet women all the time, and their light has been dimmed somehow, some way. And so I want to bring that light out again.
Brilliant.
And
So you're building relationship. I mean, it takes
Yes.
time, obviously, on Facebook or any other social media platform to
takes
comment, to
time.
like, but you're investing in the
authentic.
relationship.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so when
Absolutely.
it comes time to invite, which I think is the third step,
Yes.
what's the process there? How do you invite them to take
And
part?
that is a personal invitation. It's the private messaging functionality,
Yeah.
and most social media aspects have that. Whether you are on LinkedIn or Instagram or whatever it is, it's the personal invitation.
Yes.
And always finding out what's comfortable for them, because somebody might not even know what Instagram is, but they're all about LinkedIn. So asking, where do you connect, and then connect with them there, and then personally inviting them into the other space. Pretty much everyone is on Facebook.
Yes.
So that's not a problem to get them to Facebook once you've connected with them somewhere else. The younger generation, it's Instagram. I have not stepped foot into Snapchat yet, but mainly they're all on Instagram as well. So
Sure.
I'm able to connect with the 18, 19, 25, 30-year-old and invite them into my life on Instagram.
That's great.
So
That's
then
great.
personal invitation, and so that's prior to the actual party. And then during the virtual parties, there's the 2 main focuses, and it's party for a purpose. Basically, coming from a place of serving others and having a passion for what I do, but then taking it that next step. And we talked a little bit about Women United for Change.
Yes.
That is exactly how I present every opportunity. I'm always partying for a purpose. There's always that second layer. Conscious Capitalism,
Yes.
Evolved Enterprise is
Yes.
another book about it, and really just taking your passion for what you do and serving something more, making it bigger than yourself.
Brilliant.
People connect to that, and people are like, she's not in just her little life and her little bubble with her kids. Like, there's bigger things happening here.
Yes.
And so that then makes them realize, okay, this is for a bigger cause.
Brilliant.
And really drives them to look more into what is she doing? You know,
Right.
how is she doing this? How did she just donate $500? Where did that come from?
Right.
And then that leads into the business
Brilliant.
opportunity.
So just to clarify that, so you're
Sure.
inviting people through Facebook or email or other ways to your online event, and you're helping them appreciate that there's something you're going to share that's product or business related, but also there's a bigger part, there's a bigger vision, there's a bigger cause, party with a
Always.
purpose. It could be Women United for Change, it could be another charity that you're linked to, but
Yes.
it makes it an attractive offer. Obviously, people are more likely to respond and want to show up and see
Yeah.
what you're up to.
It's a
Brilliant.
win-win-win.
Brilliant. And then
Really
what's the
is.
very last step? How do you lead that online event?
So basically, the posts, there's always value in the posts. So whatever
Yes.
the product is, there's always a value there. So I think the example that we have is the bracelet. But I'm talking, it's orange is a hot trend. Actually, half of the audience is wearing orange.
Yeah.
That bracelet had orange. You're always adding value to whatever it is. It's not just about the product itself. It's like this was in New York Fashion Week, and talking more about that and how that will then lend itself to why they should be having that product. So there's
Great.
always a value add there.
Brilliant. So in your actual event, it sounds like there's some teaching that goes on as well as they get introduced to the products and the opportunity, but
Yes.
just showing up and being part of that event itself has value.
Absolutely.
People get to learn fashion tips
fashion
or trends. Or,
for my, yeah, exactly.
brilliant. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I wish we could do a whole, and maybe we will, do a big training on this. Would you agree? It's such a fascinating
It's really neat.
way to do business. And I think for those of you who are in more of a traditional party plan model, it can be tough to get people to meet in person. But to be able to do an event online with
Yeah.
no borders and convenience attached to it, I know you've done incredibly well. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Brilliant. And then I want to talk a little bit, if we could, maybe we could go to Heidi next, because there's a new way to attract prospects that I think is very smart, and some of you may know this in terms of personal branding, and you've done incredibly well with this. And Heidi, well, I'll let you share your story. Do you want to just share a little bit about your story and how you transitioned into your business and what you used as your sort of flag or branding to attract the women that you wanted to?
So,
Yeah.
unlike you, this came out of a lot of frustration and lack of success, and really reaching in and defining who I was and who I was going to be in my business. And I think for a lot of people, a lot of women in particular, you have to really define who you are. And for me, not unfortunately, but I was enrolled by a man who was enrolled by a man. And so I came into an organization that was really kind of male defined. And I was struggling in that, and I wasn't having success in it. And so I sat down one day and I started thinking about, like, who am I and what is this? What is my why, which you had spoken of before, and how do I want to create a business here? And so I created, my goal was to be a mom. I didn't want to be in the pharmaceutical industry anymore. I really wanted
Right.
to be able to prioritize, my motherhood,
Yes.
but still have the income. And so Moms Making Six Figures really just came out of that. It wasn't some, grand thing. It was really just me defining that, and I created a brand around it. But the thing that was really nice about it is that I could use it as a way to not only introduce and educate, and it also, when I was explaining it to those of my very close friends that really didn't have an interest in my business, it gave me the ability to allow them to refer someone to me in kind of a softer way.
Yes.
So it branded me, but it also allowed me to reach out past who I was and kind of reach into those resources that I knew other people had.
Yes.
That we all want people to refer us someone.
Yes.
And it just allowed that in a very soft way.
Yes.
And I started that before Facebook was you can go and brand yourself on Facebook now. And obviously you've done it in a very, very successful way. It was before that was a really big trend, and
Yes.
all of the different social media platforms
Yes.
that now people can, I think, create something for themselves in those
Yes.
that they can utilize.
Yes.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Let me just reiterate what she did, because it's brilliant. It's really, really a smart marketing approach. And you have probably found this yourself, that if you're out in the world talking to people, they may not necessarily be looking for a network marketing direct selling opportunity. I'm sure you don't have people come up to you going, oh my goodness, I can't wait to find a network marketing direct selling opportunity. It's not on people's mind, but they're looking for results. They're looking for an experience. And what Heidi recognized is that she was a new mom who had a very successful career in pharmaceutical sales, and wanted to be home with her kids and still wanted to make six figures or more. So she is a mom making six figures, and she took that as her brand and created a group around that. And when she was talking to other moms who were in similar situations, they all wanted to be moms making six figures. So that was their flag, that was their brand, that was the thing they were all about. And I know I've seen bumper stickers around town with moms making six figures on it. Randy, maybe we could bring that slide up again. I just want to be sure everybody has a chance to see that. It's beautiful. And I know when I first saw that, I was like, I wonder what that's about. There we go, momsmakingsixfigures.com, bringing women home to their lives. So you really are advertising the results that you're creating, which I'm assuming is very attractive to the women that you're wanting to bring into the fold.
And it also helps you to define
What
the
you're
people-
about.
What you're about. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And do you mind just sharing real quick, like, what did you do initially then to get attention for that? I know it was before Facebook, so I think was there more traditional advertising you did and some things?
Yeah. I started out with, there was just a little publication that was local to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of my friends and even people that I had attended school with kind of lived in and around that general area, so I knew the area well.
Right.
And there was a little publication that I put a little ad in. It wasn't anything really big or anything to speak of, but what it did is it started conversation. So
Yes.
there were people that said, "Oh, I saw your thing," and
What
"So
is
you're
that?"
advertising?
Yeah.
Like, what is that?" Yeah. So it started conversation, and you mentioned the relationship, and every single relationship takes time to develop, and so for me, it just allowed me to start some of those relationships and then develop
Yes.
them and foster them.
Yes. And I love too what you said, because you were representing something that people could appreciate. It was easier for them to recommend or refer people to you. They may not, a friend of yours may not have been doing the best job at saying, here's what Heidi's business is, but trying to explain a network marketing or direct selling opportunity, most people don't have the capacity for that. But they could say, Heidi's the gal that helps moms make six figures. And because of that, the simplicity of that and the genius of that, her friends got it. They could recommend people. People instantly had a sense of what you did, even if they didn't know all the details. And I believe initially that's how the group got launched, right? It was mostly through your network and through referrals.
It was all through my network. So
Wow.
it was very much like you, but just in a bit of a different way.
Different spin,
It even
yeah.
allowed, and this is going to sound funny, but it even allowed my family members that weren't like super supportive, but it allowed them to refer me people kind of because they didn't realize they were doing it in a way.
Yes, yes.
So, yeah.
And that's really, I believe, how you see yourself. I mean, you're very tied to your company. You guys represent amazing products, but your flagship idea is this mom making six figures. And then your company is obviously the way in which you distribute products, and everyone has an income attached to that. But yeah, it's a brilliant concept. Does that make sense to everybody? Brilliant stuff. Can we go over to Michelle? Because you also had done something very similar, similar but different with Women in the Black. So would you share a little bit about that
Well,
process?
I loved what Heidi started with, was she was sort of trying to find her own voice,
Yes.
which you and I have talked about this a lot. And I think what happened with me and actually a teammate of mine, a girlfriend of mine that I've been working together with, we had been doing lots of what we call one-to-ones, sitting down with women, actually 2-to-1, I guess she and I together, and having heartfelt conversations. And we're going to talk a lot about that, how you connect with women and how you really have a great conversation around, values and all of that. And she said, don't you think sometimes, like, as we're meeting with women, they're kind of in the red in a way, and we just had this conversation about, she's like, we need to do something that's like in the black, like, powerful. And so it was just this moment where we both loved that idea of being in the black, financially, but also in self-worth and all these, different areas that women get depleted. And so that's really how it started, was just a really authentic way for us to bring value. And so we said, we'll do some events, and there'll be live events where women can come and they can feel empowered. And to your point, you know, they get value no matter what your parties. I love that when they leave, they feel like, okay, I got something great here no matter what.
Yes.
And the ancillary benefit for us is, you know, I think everybody would agree that women join us because they know us, they like us, and they trust us. And so it was a great way for us to really bring value through those events so that they got to know us better, and they're learning, you know, to trust us and all of that, and hopefully they like us. Yeah. But it's been a lot of fun, and what we found is that started really organically. You know, we just invited our friends, and then we found that they would say, well, can I bring 2 of my girlfriends? And so it really was this great way for us to build a relationship over time. So, you know, if you've heard the old, you know, kind of the idea of having a funnel, you know, you have a lot of people. And so what has been nice is nobody falls away from us, we've found, because there's always a way to keep connecting with them.
Yes.
Through these events and through other things that we do. But that's kind of where it started. And it is just this authentic and real place of wanting to connect with women, to bring value to them, for them to be able to, and it's interesting, I thought about this. I think sometimes because personal development is such a pillar of what we do, it's such a big part of what we do, I turned to my girlfriend and I said, you know, it's interesting because we take this for granted, and what we're finding through these events is they're not getting this in their normal corporate job or in their normal, you know, entrepreneur by themselves in a traditional business. They're not getting this, what we tend to take for granted, you know, reading these amazing books and being networked with people and all this personal development. So we just really feel like we're filling a need there, if that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yes, beautiful. And maybe Randy, we could bring that slide up again too. I just want you to all take a look at the logo. Because again, it's an example of you had a sense of the kinds of women that you wanted to attract into your business. So women in the black, enhance your net worth, expand your network. I love it. And it represents women in the black financially, women in the black in terms of their lifestyle, time with children. I mean, it's really helping women be empowered and create what they want in all those different areas of their life. So through running these events, it sounds like you're attracting women. And the event itself isn't necessarily a business opportunity.
No.
It's about education, it's about networking, but it creates this environment where everybody feels safe to come together and get to know you and get to know the other women that are involved. And then it's very natural for them to want to know more about what you're doing. Because didn't you tell me there's a gal?
Yes.
Would you share that story?
Yes, this is interesting. So we had our first event actually, and we just invited, you know, the people that we had been networking with and meeting and things like that, and we brought a couple of gals, and one of the gals that came to the event brought her mother. And it was interesting because I had talked to the gal and her mom several months ago about our opportunity, and the mom was kind of negative, you know, not very positive at all.
Yeah.
And it just was sort of a bad, you know, not a great experience. And then at the end of our first event, she said, you know, the mom came and sought us out at the end, and she said, I think I didn't quite understand when I think I'd really like to know more about what you all are doing, and I just realized that if you're doing it, it must be good. And she said, because this was really good, and so could we do that? Could we sit down together? And that was really ultimately on our top list of goals was
Yes.
that we would have a way to say, hey, separate from this evening,
Yes.
we'd love to sit down with you and have a cup of coffee and explain to you a little bit more about what we're doing.
Yes.
And so that was just really, and when we sat with her, she actually asked us, why didn't you talk about this at the, and I said, well, that's not really what that's for. You know, that's just really a way for us
Brilliant.
to provide some
Brilliant.
value. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So it is an extra step. You're inviting people to Women in the Black, which is not necessarily about your business opportunity, but how perfect. I mean, what an example of how attractive that is, because to have people come to you and say, so what are you doing? Like, I want to know more about this business.
It was beautiful. And I want to say also that this can be done, and because really at the end of the day, it's just an environment where you come to with the intention to add value and bring, deepen a relationship.
Yes.
So you can do meetup groups, find some group. I mean, it was really just a group of like-minded women. You and I worked together on setting an intention around the kind of women that I wanted to attract into my business.
Right.
And the first one was my girlfriend Lacey,
Right.
who met that criteria perfectly.
Yes.
And so, so I think if you just operate with the intention that I want to either find a group or create a group that,
Yes.
you have all kinds of avenues to be able to do that. And you guys have mentioned some that were fantastic. And so this doesn't have to be super
Complicated, yes.
complicated. Exactly.
Yeah, well, and especially with tools like Meetup, right? It's very easy. Anybody in here could create your own Meetup group, in 5 minutes. And it starts with clarity, like who are the people that I want to attract into my business? Do I want to attract moms? Could I create a group that was focused around moms and see if we could have some kind of social function or some kind of education function that would just naturally attract a bunch of moms into this group? And through that experience, build the kind of relationships that would naturally lead to talking about your business. Or if you're after college kids or teachers or health nuts, there's just so many different ways that we can use that idea of personal branding to create an environment where it's easy to get to know people and build the relationships then that can naturally lead to business. Yeah.
I'm just going to add one more quick story. So this is really fun too, is that when we had our first event, I had invited a gal who was in a traditional business in a sales position,
Yeah.
and I had invited my mother. And I connected these two because I saw there was some overlap there, and my girlfriend ended up coming out of that first event and signed a multi-million-dollar deal with my mom's company.
Wow.
So it
Wow.
was really cool. So that's
Fantastic.
what else can happen through, just as you said, you're a brilliant connector, and that feels really good. So-
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing. So we have warm market queen, cold market turning warm market queen, online party queen, personal branding examples. It's just wonderful. And then last but definitely not least, if we can have Jackie share, because you have just knocked it out of the park in terms of using YouTube and Facebook to build a very large international team. And we could do an entire weekend's training, I'm sure, on this topic. So it's a little unfair in some ways to ask you to sum this up in just a couple minutes. But yeah, but would you share just briefly how you've used Facebook to connect with people? And also YouTube, because that's a tool most people I don't think really appreciate in terms of the power of that.
Yeah, well, thank you. I would love to share. I love sharing what I do because it's so enjoyable. First of all, I realize listening to all of you, we do a lot of the same things.
Yes.
We each have our own specialty and our own niche, and it really comes down to what we like to do the most because that's what we're most comfortable with.
Yeah.
So I guess, first of all, I love people, and I love to connect with people.
Yeah.
And I came from a background that I wasn't a real big fan of network marketing. I'm putting it mildly. So I've been in the industry for 7 years, not a long time, and I saw the potential, and I saw the potential of talking to people, as many people as I could. And then I wanted to reach out to more people, and I thought, wow, there's this thing called the internet, and maybe I can reach people there. I really saw the potential is what I saw. I had a vision for it. So I like to think of strangers as friends I just haven't met yet, and I thought, well, why not? So I started reaching out to people on Facebook. First of all, I didn't know what Facebook was, joined it, and just added friends and added everyone that asked me. I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew it was good and it would work for me later in my business. So I would reach out to people, private message them, and just talk with them. But initially, I would just start by doing what I like to do best, and that is to motivate and inspire and encourage people. That's just who I am. So it's really important to be authentic on Facebook and do what you feel most comfortable with.
Yes.
So I would post encouraging posts, and people would comment on them, or people would like them or share them. I
Yes.
started doing some side training. There is so much information out there that you can use online from people like yourselves and other people that tell you how to do this and how to do that and how to do YouTube and how to do Facebook. So there's training out there galore for free. So I would get little tidbits. And I realized, well, I need to get back to people that are commenting on my posts, or I need to make sure that people that are liking my posts also I'm connected with. So I don't do this every day because you have to run your day-to-day business, but when I had time, I would go and see how many likes I got on a post or how many comments. Then I learned that I should go back and see make sure that I'm already connected with them. So if I'm not connected, I'll go and send them a friend request. That's where the whole connection part starts. That's where you start reaching out to them, because then you want to reciprocate. If they're taking time to make a comment on your post or like your post or start following you, you get all these little notifications on Facebook, well, then go take the time to like their stuff and go make a comment and support them. So it's about supporting each other. What ends up happening is that you make a whole lot of friends. So you have to stay organized. You can't get back to everyone, but just go back and make sure you're connected to these people. You'll sense an affinity to a few people, and that's where you want to reach out. You can look at their profile, you can see where they live, you can see what you have in common with them, you can see what they do for a living, what their interests are, even what sort of person they are. Are they positive? Do they have a happy attitude?
Yeah,
what are they
right.
posting? Ooh, stay away.
You can learn a lot about people through Facebook. Yes.
Yes. Not stalker, just research a little bit.
Yes.
And then from there, I'll go to a private message, and I'll say, gosh, thank you so much for posting that post about such and such. It really helped me. I needed to hear that today. People love that. Don't you all love it when someone actually comments on your posts? I don't even look at the likes. I just see who comments, and then I run to their page and I comment back.
Oh, okay.
So it's all about reciprocating a little bit.
I just want to reiterate that point. So again, it's a little bit of time and effort, but whenever people are commenting on the things you're sharing on Facebook, you take time then to go comment and sometimes even private message them in a very neutral way. You're not hitting them up about the business. It's just about building relationships. And over time, as you're seeing each other on Facebook, there's some level of relationship and trust and reciprocal energy being created that allows you then to bring up the business, I'm sure, at a later
Yes,
time.
let me respond to that, because that's
Yeah.
really important. It's important to be authentic, and it's important to be yourself.
Yes.
I never, ever would go to someone the very first time I saw they commented or liked a post and go tell them about my business or my opportunity or my products.
Right.
Never, never, never. So that's definitely don't cross that line, because I like to say, just like if you guys are married or you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, I mean, your spouse didn't propose to you on the first date, I hope. It takes time to build a relationship, and you want to be respectful. And what that does, especially if someone says, oh, she's a network marketer, it's in your bio, your profile of Facebook, they're ready for it. And then you don't try to recruit them. Oh, that actually builds credibility. And then the second encounter, you're still not trying to recruit them. You're
Yes.
just being a person. So that's what I love about Facebook the most, is because people can see who you are. They can see who you are through your photos, through your posts. They get an idea. And then from watching you, then they decide whether they want to talk to you or not. So you'll kind of feel if that person is ready to open up to you. I'll approach them first. Some people approach me, but my mom taught me when I was in high school, be the first person to approach someone. Don't say no one's talking to you. Go talk to them first, and that's a really good rule.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
That's great.
Would you like me to talk about YouTube?
Yeah,
It's
if you can do
amazing.
it, yes, as briefly as possible, but also it's just to get across,
Okay, yes.
just to get across the power of it, because you've attracted some international teammates through just posting YouTube videos. So.
Yeah, so I have to say, Facebook and YouTube are my absolute favorites. I dabble in the others, but really you want to kind of focus. So YouTube I love because you can do something once and it plays over and over and over and over. In fact, the longer it's up online, the better your rankings. And when someone does a Google search, they're going to find your company, your product. I'm very specific on YouTube, so check with your companies to make sure that's in the policies and procedures and that you're allowed to do online advertising or do YouTube. Some companies you can't. But once you have the green light, well, then go for it. Specialize. Talk about your products. Talk about your comp plan. Do a business presentation. Do some training. Make it public. It stays there forever. And then when people go on either YouTube or Google and they search on XYZ company, they're going to find you because no one else is out there doing this. So it's just a gem. It's passive.
So can you give a quick example? Because, well, with camera phones these days, it's a lot easier to shoot video than it ever was previously. What would be the topics that you would present? Like, if you were creating some short movies to put up on YouTube, what were some of the topics that you would cover?
Well, I tried the general rule for network marketing, and I was just lost in the sea of what's out there. So then I thought, okay, and it was everything through trial and error.
Yes.
So then I thought, well, my company specific. What's out there for my company? Well, not a whole lot, and what was out there was kind of dated. So first I did a business presentation because when I was looking at the company, I thought, That's the first thing I look for. I want to see what's this company about, what are their products, what's their comp plan, etc. What do you like about it? So that's what I did. I did my own business presentation. I borrowed slides and PowerPoints from other people, put it together, and made it my own. And very generic, so anyone in the company could use it. But people saw that and reached out to me. And then I made another one, and then maybe some products that I absolutely love. There's skincare, something that women love, and they might be searching that, or it might resonate with them.
So some were product related, some were about the opportunity, but they all had,
Yes.
I'm assuming, keywords in the title that allowed people to,
Yes.
when they were searching, to find your
Yes,
video and
yes.
then reach out and contact
Yeah,
you.
good
after
point.
that.
And you guys, I learned to do this from YouTube videos. Type in how to anything on YouTube and you'll find
Yeah,
it.
you'll find
you know?
YouTube videos showing you.
Seriously, and that's what I did. So no one taught me, but again, I saw the opportunity and I was excited. And when something is out there that not many other people are doing, oh my gosh, go for it, run with it. So I would do just little videos. Remember, people have about an 8-second attention span. I'm not kidding. 8.4% or 8.4 seconds. Goldfish have 9. So we have to be quick. So most
get
of
their
my
attention.
videos, yeah, are around 90 seconds to 120 seconds max.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
And we don't have time to tell all the details, but I know through just what you've done on Facebook and YouTube, you've attracted people in your team from France, from Italy, from Taiwan.
Taiwan,
And
Korea.
Korea.
The Italy group has opened up other countries
Unbelievable.
in
Wow.
Europe. I have a presence in over 20 countries
Wow.
just from social media.
Incredible. So-
Social media and doing it softly.
Yes. So for any of you sitting in rural areas feeling like there's nobody for me to find in my own local neighborhood, you can spend a little time on Facebook or using those other tools and truly create an international network that can lead to new business that opens doors into even other countries. So what a fascinating example of how you've invested time and the kind of payoff that you've got. Thank you for sharing. All right, we have time for one very quick question. Does anybody in the studio audience have a question around prospecting or lead generation that you would love to ask this panel? This is a golden moment here if you do. Can we have a mic? Ashley's just going to grab that mic and we'll bring that over and have you share really quickly, just right here in the front row. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ladies, for sharing. There's so many different medias online. Is it better just to choose one and then kind of get not professional, but good in it, and then choose another one?
Oh.
Or do you spread out and kind of do all of them?
That's a good question. There's Facebook,
'Cause it's
there's
so overwhelming.
Pinterest, there's YouTube, there's LinkedIn, there's, I can't even name them all.
Who are you
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
for? I think it
That's a
depends on
good-
who
yes.
are you looking for?
Yes.
And where are you most comfortable?
Yes.
And once you answer those 2 questions, you'll find your best fit.
Okay, that's good.
For example, Facebook tends to be women, a lot of moms, some working women.
Pinterest is another place for
Pinterest
that.
is another place. If you're looking for more professional people, if you want to recruit people in the corporate world, LinkedIn then would be the site. What was it? Not Snapchat. What was the other one you mentioned?
Instagram.
Instagram for the younger crowd,
Yes.
which I know nothing about, but
I
yeah.
think Instagram for you.
That's a really good point. Each platform tends to have its own demographic, so it's important to be aware of that before you invest a lot of time. And one thing I have seen women do that can work against them is trying to do too much across too many of those channels. Would you agree? It's probably better to pick one. I mean, invest in Facebook or invest in YouTube and spend time and really get some traction in any one of those channels before you even think about duplicating
But I
that.
love what she said, because
Yeah.
if you are comfortable there,
Oh, need them.
We're talking so many gems and no one hears
If you're comfortable there, then you're likely going to find other people that are like you that are comfortable there, and you're going to resonate with those people. So pick the one that fits best for you.
Yeah, great topic. Oh, okay. All right, we have one off the chat roll. After your friend intervention, how do you continue? Oh, this is for Kimmy, obviously. After your friend intervention, how did you continue to connect with your worm market without stepping on toes? That's a really good
great
question. Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
So obviously he didn't share which friends wanted to intervene, but didn't have the guts to tell me themselves. So, I just kept inviting people, and I really just did let it roll off my shoulders, and I didn't make up a story that nobody wanted to get involved with me. I mean, for a little while I was like, ooh, I wonder if it was them. I wonder if it was them. I wonder if it was them. So I stayed a little bit away from those people that I thought maybe they were involved in the plan.
Yeah.
But I I was so excited by what was happening in my business that I just didn't let it bring me down. And that's kind of what I was talking about with the story, you know, and I think it's a great thing for everybody as they're starting, or no matter where you are in your business, what is your story today? And the awesome thing is our brain doesn't know if it's a lie or a truth that we're telling it, the story. So you can reinvent your story tomorrow, and it might take a little while practicing that muscle of, you know what, I attract amazing, cool, passionate people to my business every day. And so what I did is I just kept telling myself the positive story instead of getting stuck in that negative.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. Sure.
Add on to that a little bit, that I think it's really great when you're looking for prospects is to set an intention, to write a description of the perfect prospect. And really take some time on that, because you would be amazed at how powerful that is to just start drawing those people, and they suddenly start showing up.
Yes.
When you know what they look like.
Yes, brilliant, fantastic. Well, I wish we had all day to continue with this topic because it's a juicy one, but thank you for all that you shared. Would you agree they are phenomenal examples of all the different ways you can build this business? Thank you for that. So no excuses now. Any of you who feel that you have no one to talk to, there are plenty of ways to connect and make new friends and develop a network, whether that is locally in your own area or using the internet. Truly, especially with technology these days, there's just no excuse to not be reaching out and making friends and creating the kind of relationships that can lead to business opportunities. So I encourage all of you watching to pick one of these approaches if it resonates with you and follow it and work it. It does take time, but would you agree with just persistence and discipline and time, we can all build the kind of relationships that can naturally lead to a lot of new business for any of us.